I think everybody pretty much knows me and Mandy. So, oh, look at him just like crashed out. I love it. So, Amanda, give us a bio. Who are you besides an incredible person that's invisible with your illnesses?
I am a 41-year-old ADHD, constantly in pain, firecracker psychologist.
There you go. And you sent me a short bio. Um, and it was awesome because the next message you sent was, that's really just kind of a like a small piece, it's not all of it. And I think that's a lot of us who are on this live or in the visible community. If we really wrote down everything, it would be a novel, or it could be a novel.
Yeah.
So, but you had a lot of stuff. Some of, I'm going to use the word trauma. There is some trauma in what you sent me. But, and we're going to get into this later, and the videos I've been doing talking about this live, and just in my gut feeling, and with Valerie, who's a nurse, retired nurse, I always have thought that people who are in the medical field or industry, or worked with people who are in the medical field or industry, would get better care. Like if you sell cars for a living and you need to go buy a car, they're going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. Or if you're an electrician and your best friend's and you work with plumbers, the plumber's going to come out and take care of you and do a really good job. So that type of camaraderie.
Yeah.
But from reading your story and a lot of comments and messages I've been getting from other people who are nurses or PAs or whatever, it's a professional courtesy. Thank you. Bullshit. It's not the case. It really isn't. And like, as we talked, your diagnosis got complicated at times. And even though you're in the field, you were ignored as well.
Yeah.
And you became invisible as well. So we're going to get into that tonight, I think. I think we're going to get into you and myself and Amanda or Mandy and I have talked. We're probably going to get into SUD, substance use disorder, on the end. And I want to preface that with some triggers, trigger warnings in case that upsets people. I know that is a difficult topic in the pain and the invisible community. But here's the deal. A couple of deals, I should say. We're used to living in difficult lives, so I think we can handle difficult conversations. That's kind of what Mandy and I specialize in any of our lives, are the difficult conversations, because we need to have the conversations to learn more so we can continue to grow and hopefully find a new doctor or find a new treatment or find strength to keep going further. I would love to do nothing but come on and do stand-up comedy about the situation, but I'm funny looking, but I'm not funny. And it wouldn't work for me. But these conversations are tough, but they're honest. There's no flaming of anybody. There's no calling anybody out. It's just an honest discussion. And that's what I wanted to preface it that with. So pretty deep already. And it's just 5 minutes in. So,
that's just a regular day for me, but already.
Well, you're a psychologist. You face this stuff, right?
Yep. I'm all about the difficult conversations. I get bored when they're not.
We're the rookies here, So, well, Amanda, like we talked on the phone earlier today, typically we start here and then we go to the end, right? Like we talked about. So I'm going to leave that with you. Where would you care to start? And then we can kind of go from there.
I guess just how about when I was 3 days old?
Okay.
So I was born with pulmonary stenosis. And so when I was three days old, I had to have my first surgery. And it turned out it wasn't as bad as they thought it was. So it wasn't a huge deal, but, something was off. ever since I was born. Like I had a heart murmur, so that was the first thing, and that clued them into the pulmonary stenosis. I still don't 100% know what that is, but I mean, I tried to see if there were some patterns to it with the genetic disorder I finally figured out I had, but I hadn't seen anything yet. So, okay, that happened. And then, just weird stuff. Like, I had all this dental crowding to the point that I had to have 8 teeth pulled at once just to get braces. And then I also had my wisdom teeth out after that. So, yeah, so that was, and that's actually a clue to what I ended up getting diagnosed with. So, all right. I would say, all right, so then it was growing pains, right? Like, which we've come to find out, that's not normal. No, it's not normal to have growing pains, but I was told it was because people in my family had it. And
I was told the same thing.
Yeah, it's hereditary is why. So what was that?
Somebody sent some roses, so that's
Sorry,
what that
I've
was
never been on
there.
a live before, so I'm used to it. Okay. So yeah, growing pains. I just remember this like awful pains in my legs. Like it just felt like bone pain. And people were like, oh, that's normal. I was like, okay. So I just pushed through like I always do. And after I had, well, let's see, I started having migraines pretty early on. Puberty ruined me. I was such a good kid, and then puberty. And that's when I just started getting really bad anxiety. I'd always noticed that I got like overstimulated and needed a lot of time to myself, even though I was incredibly social at the same time. I just needed a lot of breaks. So yeah, but puberty, anxiety started happening. And I honestly I was all over the place. And I was a problem, like from the moment I hit puberty. So like I won the best essay for Dare, and literally a year later I was into all the drugs. So yeah, Dare doesn't work.
No.
I think we all knew that though.
See, I think for me that was back in the 80s with Nancy Reagan. This is the commercial with the old dude in the frying pan and the egg. This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. And then on the weekends, we would go try to get our brain on drugs, just like that egg, the entire weekend. That was our goal.
Did you succeed?
Yeah. Well, both my parents are passed, so I can talk out of school now. Yes, I succeeded.
Yeah.
I succeeded. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Dare didn't work. Dare, just say no, and Dare didn't work.
No.
So,
but and when people tell you, "Hey, here's this thing that can calm you down," when I'm just like on fire all the time and I don't know why, yeah, I'm gonna try that thing. And yeah, it worked.
Right. And,
me being a child, yeah, it's not like I thought about moderating or maybe don't do so much. Although, in the recovery rooms, they talk about one drink and then oblivion. That was never me. I don't like oblivion. I just wanted to feel normal. And I was like born not feeling normal. So the other thing they say in the rooms is terminally unique. And I don't like that phrase.
No, and we may get into this later on tonight. For myself, looking back now, the usage, the things that I did to feel better, mm-hmm. It was just simply self-medicating to get the things out of my own mind to calm my mind, mm-hmm. and of some things that had happened to me. And I've heard through treatment facilities and sometimes in the room that it was self-medicating, but for me, that's really how it was.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was doing, because I would go, if I had like a toothache or it got hurt, I would go to the doctor and they give me like Tylenol with codeine and I would feel better.
Yeah.
Right. that would stop hurting. And so the way my brain works is, well, if this is messing me in the head, let's try something over here to try to feel better. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, all right. Didn't mean to get you off topic, but
No,
that's just kind of.
You're good. You're good. So yeah, I started figuring out that, all right, substances, if you take this substance, it does this one does that. And so it's not like they weren't diagnosing girls very often with ADHD, and they certainly weren't diagnosing autism. And so I was just raw dogging it. And, I was considered, so I was in gifted classes and, just mainly did a bunch of origami. I don't know how that was supposed to prepare me for the world, but it was fun. So yeah, I kind of shifted out of all of my potential that I supposedly had and into, I just need to feel better because I feel terrible all the time. I'm anxious all the time. I'm in pain all the time. When I started having migraines back then, they would just give you hydrocodone. And I remember I had come home. I was 15, I think, 15 or 16. And I saw a prescription that had my name on it, and it was hydrocodone. And I was like, oh yeah, awesome. But I was prescribed 10 milligrams, and I was like, that's too much. That's too much for me. And so I ended up taking some that night without telling my mom. And, the next day I really knew that was too much for me. And I was like, Mom, can I just break those in half? And that's what I started doing. So it was never about let me get as high as possible. It was just, can we make the pain chill out a little bit? Can we make the anxiety chill out a little bit? That's what I wanted.
Right.
And those things did it. And guess what? I did so well in classes that year. Straight A's. I was killing it. I was learning because I wasn't so focused on pain and anxiety. So yeah, it's tough because there is a fine line, but also, sorry, I'm probably gonna cry a lot. Just heads up on that.
I tried to warn you.
I keep going back to it was real. It was always real. I was telling the truth,
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that a lot of us face is we were honest in telling how we felt. Mm-hmm. And either because of our age or girls don't get aren't hyperactive, mm-hmm. right? Or boys don't have this problem, and it was ingrained in the doctors just so hard not to say, well, maybe she is hyper or has some ADHD, maybe, right? And because we're honestly saying what's going on. And at the early age, a lot of us were just shut down, mm-hmm. and we were ignored from that point on. And which leads to that self-medication and experimenting and finding what makes us feel better, or able to cope with things,
and normal.
Yeah.
I would imagine everybody else feels,
Yeah. What were you going to say, Mandy?
I was just going to say, I think a lot of it is also, like she said, because we want to feel normal, but girls and boys typically present differently. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
ADHD, we're more overthinking just it's more in the mind than in the physical.
Yeah. And that's more socialized because girls are taught to behave, be quiet, all that stuff. And they don't really teach boys that as much. Yeah. So I actually did act a little bit more like a boy where instead of getting up out of my chair, running around, I would just have these verbal outbursts where I would just make dumb jokes to keep myself awake, or I'd always be the person raising my hand, just I need to be engaged or I'm going to be bored. Right. But nobody even mentioned ADHD to me. I didn't know I was ADHD until this year.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked on the phone earlier today, a lot of the terms that are used today weren't in existence like when I was in my teens, right?
Right.
ADHD wasn't a thing. Neurodivergent wasn't a thing. Being on the spectrum, if it was a thing, it wasn't looked at as it is today, right? So that's just kind of, hopefully attitudes are changing. I want to go back just a little bit before we get back into the deep end again. Some of the things that happen to you, like surgery when you're days old, right? Your lungs just kind of spontaneously collapsed like 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. First, let me just say, also at 16, I had my wisdom teeth out, and that's when I started my lifelong issue with TMJ pain. Awful, horrendous, has ruined my life. Like, TMJ pain is no freaking joke. Anyway, so that happened. And let's see. So I went through a lot of other trauma, which is this stuff that a lot of pain patients are talking about these days, where sexual trauma automatically gets me labeled high risk in pain clinics, which is insane to me. It makes no sense.
They're victimized. I mean, they're basically blaming the victim right there, and it's
they are, and they're like that. They're re-energizing the offender to victimize again.
100%.
And they don't see that they're doing that, or they don't care that they're doing that.
Right.
And that's why for weeks, and I need to get back onto it, I was promoting everybody that would listen to me, and people got tired of hearing me. This whole ACE stuff that's going on, that's part of those questionnaires, and how women or ladies are being mistreated because their doctors are writing it off automatically if something happened to you. We need to do a whole nother episode on that. So even guys, even if, in case it happens, your daughter develops a chronic whatever, she becomes an invisible patient. She's going to face these questions when she goes into a PCP or a specialist. Have you had trauma in your life? Blah, 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 blah. And they're just going to immediately do what they did to Amanda and just, you're not hurting.
Yeah. It's all in your brain. Go to therapy.
Automatically. Sorry. I was going to say, as a female, I just learned this. We automatically get marks against us just for our gender. It is insane. Yeah.
I had the first pain clinic I went to, he said that I was in pain because of estrogen. So I got a total hysterectomy and said, now what? It didn't help me at all, but I just thought that was really interesting. And as soon as I had it taken out, they dropped me as a patient. I was like, are you serious? Because you have nothing to use against.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's
so in my teen years, I was going through a lot of that. But I'm curious, Keith, did you get asked that at any of the pain clinics? Like if you had any sexual trauma? Okay.
Nope. And that's why I was pushing it so hard. That's why, and I watched VJ Gray did a video on it, and I've been sending it out to like 1,000 people. It's the theory behind it is they say that it shows up in ladies in trauma, in pain, creating pain. But in men and boys, it shows up in violence or alcohol or drug use. So since it's supposed to show that way from me, it doesn't turn into pain. So they don't even address it in men. Don't even address it. Right?
It's such a backwards way of thinking. It's so frustrating.
So, and it just, it infuriates me. It just infuriates me because it's sexist, it's misogynistic, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I didn't even know anything about it until I'd already answered honestly and said yes. Yeah. Like I just answer honestly with anything, like I always have. So I didn't think anything of it. And then I found this community and I realized why they were asking that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they put high risk. I was like, wow.
Yeah. And what does it do to the patient-doctor relationship when the first thing a patient has to do is to lie to the doctor?
Yeah.
And say, no, that never happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad because I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old girl, and I'm personally seeing how her having her own trauma and mental health issues are affecting her care with her primary care doctors. And it just breaks my heart because it makes me want to just start from scratch and lie. I hate to say that, but it's affecting her care.
Yeah,
and
if it's going to be used against her, absolutely.
Yeah. And so but if they asked me, I'd lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know this now, but I didn't know this, 14 years ago when they originally asked me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I feel like I learned from this, so I need to help people understand, it's unfortunately not safe to.
No, it's
they
not.
will re-traumatize you. It's awful.
In a heartbeat.
It is awful because I went through years of being so angry at my doctors and being so mentally ill from not being treated properly. Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
Yeah. I've never known anybody who's had their lungs spontaneously collapse once.
You're obsessed. I love it. Okay.
But you've done it. You've managed to pull it off 3 times. I mean, it's like your body
in
is
a
like
row.
It's like your body's like wanting to be an overachiever in this aspect.
It is. It was just like, let's just be a medical marvel. Except it turns out I'm actually not that unique. So, okay, I ended up getting sober at 21 because I was just like, this isn't working. I had dropped out of school. I had, I dropped, get this. So I dropped out of high school because they cut down the smoking bushes. And I was like, I'm out. I'm going to college. And I went and took my GED. So, yeah. Clearly, I have addiction issues, but it's more of a stem, I came to find out, particularly nicotine. It's the hand to mouth thing. Like I need that sort of,
See, I'm so old. We had smoking lounges on campus.
In high school?
Yeah, in high school. We had 2. We had 1 on each side of campus. Yeah.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
So
I got sober and went. No, I had to wait because they tell you to wait a year before you make any big decisions. So I ended up dating a doctor for a little bit, and I thought I was so grown up. So we had broken up, but then I started getting this chest pain, and I was just like, "Oh, that's not right." And he was training to become a cardiologist, so I messaged him. He said, "Chest pain means always go to the ER." I was like, "Okay." Went to the ER, and they said, "Yeah, your lungs collapsed." And I was like, "What?" And it does not hurt as bad as it sounds. Like it just felt like a pulled muscle. It wasn't that bad. So they put me on oxygen and it kind of re-inflated itself and it was fine. Went back home. Next month happens again. And I started to notice it was happening when I was on my period. And so, yeah. And then that was explained to me that is, so it turned out I had endometriosis in my lungs. And so that's, uterine lining or not uterine lining, but uterus tissue, the endometrium starts growing outside of the uterus and in other parts of your body. Mine got all the way up here. So the scar tissue pulled my lungs in to where they would deflate every time I had a period because it would inflame more. So I just got used to that feeling. I was like, oh, my lung collapsed. I got to go to the hospital.
See, hang on. That is such an invisible patient's attitude. It is. There's 30 people in this chat, right, in this group right now. And that is, every one of us would say something close to that. Oh, happened again.
Yep, gotta go.
and people outside the invisible community could never relate. They'd
No,
be like, what are you okay? What can we do to help you? And you're like, just maybe
just
call
another
911.
day.
Yeah, just give me some oxygen, kind of bump it back up. It's just,
Yep.
but that's what is so, that's why everybody in this community is my hero, is because we find ways to get things done. And I'm sorry, it's not normal to have your lungs just spontaneously do that.
It is not, no.
but for us, it's like just another day.
Yeah.
It's just another day that this happens.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, people outside this community couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. They don't have the skills. They don't have the drive. They don't have the mental strength to do it. And when I tell people in this community that they are superheroes and my heroes, it's because of stuff like this. It is so wrong to say, "Oh, just my lung collapsed again." Okay, it's a Tuesday, or it must be a Wednesday. But the fact that you can just pick up and continue.
And then the third time that it happened, I went in. I think I was like peeling an orange. The second time I was laughing too hard, God forbid, and it collapsed. It's always something dumb and it just collapses. But so I went in and they were like, "We don't see anything. Are you sure?" Like, I was like, I mean, I don't know. That's what I've been told. So I ended up calling my ex cardiologist guy, and he comes to the hospital. And sorry. And then he makes out with me in my hospital gown, but that's neither here nor there. And then he calls the other doctor, and he was looking at my x-ray and pointing. He was like, "Do you see? She's 30% collapsed right here." And he was like, "Oh God." And then I was admitted and I had like really bad surgery the next day. So they gave me a chest tube, which is not cool at all. And then they stapled my lung to the inside of my chest wall. And so it won't collapse again because it's stuck. That was a rough surgery. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I was in the hospital for a week. And so that happened. That was a bummer. And they took out all my piercings and then grew back, and I was mad. Let's see. The next surgery was all right. So I moved to LA, which was great and fun, and I really liked the doctors more there. I live in the South, and it's a lot harder here. But in LA, at least, they would treat symptoms and they wouldn't help you figure out what was wrong, but they would treat the symptoms at least. I kept having this like shoulder issue on top of my jaw issues. And I was in grad school to be a psychologist, and I was just like, I can't do this. This is too much. And I begged them for 3 years, please go digging in there surgically. There's something wrong. They're like, it's just tendonitis. I'm like, I don't think so, but can you at least look? And sure enough, 3 years later, after I'd been begging them, they found a gigantic bone spur stabbing into that tendon. So it was tendonitis, but there was a little more to it than that. And it was fixed after that. I was like, why don't they listen? And then that was a theme the rest of my life up until present. Why don't they listen?
And again, it goes back to if you're difficult, they don't want to listen.
Yeah.
And we can get to that point here tonight if people want us to. Is why doctors don't want. Why, if you're complicated, why is it easier to drop that person and just walk away and go home and sleep at night than to try to help them figure out what's going on? Mm-hmm. But we don't have to go there right yet, because That's a excuse me. That's a pretty
I
deep
think it's
conversation
just
as well.
they want wins and they don't want to work harder, which I get. Like I'm a psychologist. I have patients. We get burnt out. And yeah, it's hard when somebody asks us to do something extra. Like I feel that. But maybe it's because the therapist patient relationship is very different. Like I get to know these people, I care about them, I love them. Like I am going to go the extra mile for them. I'm exhausted and I've been burnt out for years, but I'll still do it. And I don't think, I think it's easier for them to say she's faking it than take on all that extra work.
Yeah. And, I did a video a month or two ago about that. And I pissed off a lot of firefighters because I tied it to guys who volunteer at the local fire department because they want to go rescue kittens from the tree. And then they freak out when they realize they have to go put a house is on fire. They have to go do that.
Yeah.
And they refuse to because they don't get the warm fuzzies and the attention for saving the kitten in a tree. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what they want is the love, the warm fuzzies. And it's like doctors are like, oh, I'm going to write insulin. I'm going to save this person's life, or I'm going to high blood pressure meds. I got you covered. Yeah. You have allergies. Here, take some prescription Benadryl. And they're helping that person, and it makes them feel good. And then they get to somebody who has 2, 3, 4, 5 different issues going on, and they can't figure out one, much less 5, and they know they can't win that. And see ya. Or even worse, they write you off as you came up with a new name for a hypochondriac, is what it is. It's all in your head, and then they mark you on your record, and it follows you on your health records wherever you go, So anyway, again,
and
I'm sorry to get on
me believing
about this.
I was a hypochondriac too. Like I had gotten to the point where I had tried and tried and tried to figure out what was going on because I knew it was all connected. I had had a couple doctors who thought so too. They just didn't know what it was. And I would just get the same, 13 vial blood panel that I've gotten every other year my whole life. And they're like, oh, nothing changed. Just like, yeah, because it's not an autoimmune disorder. That's not what's happening. Maybe stop making it seem like it's that because it's not that. But that's all they would do. Yeah. That's all they would do.
That is. And it's I mean, I've heard stories of unicorn doctors like Valerie, her doctor back when her disease, when they were figuring out what she had wrong, her doctor in Smithville, Texas, was really supportive in helping her. Basically said, go research it in the beginning days of Google and WebMD. And she's coming back with suggestions and stuff, and he's working with her. Then we move, long story short, we get to Granbury, and she gets hooked up with the DO. And he tells a story that in med school, they're going to tell you that you're going to run across these weird diseases. And I'm thinking, I'm moving a little bit to Granbury, Texas. I'm never going to see it. And here you are, Valerie, walking in my front door with you're one of 1,000 people on the planet that has this. And those are 2 examples, but there's gazillions doctors, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah. I see a question here, genuine question. Can pain be psychosomatic in some situations? You'd think I had an answer ready by pointing that question out, but I don't. The thing is, it's hard to say. They do feed off of each other, right? Like, so they're not wrong when they say that trauma does cause pain. It absolutely does, but the pain is still there. It's still real. Trauma does cause, at least according to theories and research, it causes autoimmune disorders in a lot of cases. But that doesn't make it psychosomatic.
No.
But okay, so for instance, when I get really stressed out, I will get what I call a fibro flare, where just like that burning nerve pain, right? So yeah, we could call that psychosomatic, but it's still happening. Like I still feel it.
Well, and they just recently found out that, or they did a paper on it, that fibromyalgia actually is tied to autoimmune conditions. So they believe that fibromyalgia now is an autoimmune condition that creates the synapses and the pain to be like affected, you know? So like, thank God they finally have a paper saying this, but you know, it's, a lot of doctors don't believe it's a real thing, and it's really messed up.
It is
messed up. And then you have doctors like the one I just fired who decided that he was going to diagnose me with fibromyalgia.
Just simply so you couldn't get treated with. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just so he could stop writing me opioids for pain meds, because opioids aren't used for fibromyalgia, which I came on and I did just a stupid, silly little video. Y'all, I think I've been diagnosed with this. Well, tell me about it. And 8 out of 10 responses were, well, they have me on a version of Oxy or a version of this. And I'm like, that mother lying to me again, you know?
Some doctors believe that you can treat it with psych meds too. And I feel like that's a whole nother slippery slope, is getting prescribed psych meds for chronic pain. Sometimes it can work for some people, but I think a lot of us, me personally at least, I can speak for myself, have issues with taking SNRIs and SSRIs.
Yeah, I can't take them. I get serotonin syndrome. Like, it'll kill me if I take it.
Like all my allergy list is psych meds.
Yeah, same. Everything's in the red except Prestige, which I think Prestige is in the green for everybody.
I think I just want to throw in real quick, because I didn't do this at the beginning. I have to do this for the TikTok gods occasionally. Everything we're talking about with suggestions are things that work for us. These are things that work for us. These are not things we're telling you to go do. At least 2 of us on the screen are not doctors. And so we don't want to give false hope. We don't want to tell you that this is what you have to do or should do. These are just things, when we say that it's worked for us, it's worked for us.
Or if we say it hasn't worked for us, it doesn't mean it won't work for you.
Exactly. Okay. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill there, but I need to make sure for TikTok reasons that we get that out there.
Yeah.
You know, because I catch a lot of flack because of my videos talking about nerve stimulators, and Amanda has a horror story for nerve stimulators, but I'm a big fan of them for the people where they work.
Yeah.
Right?
It works for you. Awesome.
And methadone catches a lot of grief. I'm a fan for if it helps somebody with pain, take the damn methadone. You know, whatever works for you, I want you to take it, grasp it, love it, hug it, send it Christmas cards, you know, buy it gifts every year, do whatever you have to do so it continues to work for you. Right. So anyway, but then again, I'll follow that with when your pain doctor puts you on a psych med, why? And when he tells you not to go to a shrink because he can treat depression, why? You know, just ask your questions if you want to. So anyway, I hear you had back surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk about it or skip it?
No, that's the main thing. We're talking about it. I mean, I had several other surgeries, but the big one, since we're getting kind of late here, all right, exactly a year ago, something was going on. Like, I've had back pain my whole life, but this was something different, and I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, I've been bed bound periodically since grad school. And I'll go into what that turned out to be as well. But okay, so I went to an ortho, and he said, "Oh, you have a bulging disc. Just take Tylenol." And I had already gotten a prescription to Oxy from my regular doctor because it was really bad. And you know, I hadn't usually had to take opioids every day until this happened. But but yeah, I was asleep right here in this very bed. And I woke up to level 10 pain. I've never had level 10 pain. And I mean, I've known that whenever somebody says the pain scale, I will always say I've never had level 10. That was level 10. And it went on for hours. It felt like my back exploded. And several hours later, when it was all over, and I mean, I was like paralyzed and just screaming, crying. And when it was all over, I couldn't use my left leg anymore.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't feel it. I mean, I could put weight on it, but it wasn't normal. So somehow I got in touch with the ortho that told me to take Tylenol. And he said, "Oh, okay, you need to come in now." And I went in and I had an emergency discectomy the next day.
Oh, wow.
Because I was about to lose my left leg. So not cutting it off, but it wasn't going to work anymore if they didn't get it off the nerves. So that was awful, horrendous surgery. I'm sure a lot of people in these groups have had the same one. It was L4-5. And then I come to find out like most of my discs are like bulging or ruptured. I was like, oh, that makes sense. No wonder I've been in pain. Nobody was listening to me about that either, because everybody has back pain. And I started getting better. Like it was really, really bad that first week, but I was doing better, and I was like, okay, getting back to it. I was able to get short-term disability, so I was doing all right. And I went back to work, but even right before I went back to work, I was like, something's not right. Also in the midst of this, during that medical leave, I got diagnosed with ADHD. I got diagnosed with POTS. POTS is the reason I've been bedbound off and on for years. And because I didn't have like the hallmarks of that or the other thing, like I don't faint, for instance, and that's usually what I connect to POTS. And I'm not double jointed, which is what I would normally connect to Ehlers-Danlos. And it turned out I had both. All right. So I go back to work and I was like, something's not right. I was doing all the POTS exercises and lifestyle changes they told me to do. And that did feel better for a minute, but like the pain was getting really bad again. And I found out that my surgery had failed, and it was back leaking onto that, those L4-5 nerve roots. Is that what it's called? Nerve roots, I think. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to refer you to a pain clinic, and we're going to do a nerve block and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't do well with steroids, but if you think it's going to help me, I'll do it. And they were like, I think it's going to help you. False. No, 100 times worse. I told them that's how it is for me with steroids. Like it makes my pain a lot worse. And meanwhile, nobody's giving me pain meds, by the way. I'm just like in this much pain with nothing. And finally, the orthos who said it was against the rules did write me a prescription, and they referred me to a different pain clinic. But I knew the doctor there, so I was like, sure. And that was the worst thing I've ever gone through, was going to that pain clinic, and they gave me 2 5-milligram oxys. That's it. That's it. Oh, sorry. And the buprenorphine patch, which made me insane. I don't know if anybody else has had this side effect with it, but just extreme agitation, involuntary self-harm. Like I was scratching my nails down my face as I was speaking to patients, like talking to them about their problems and like holding onto an ice cube because I was about to lose my shit. And I didn't know what was going on. And I was just like, it's got to be this patch. And it was. And so I told them like, hey, I can't take this patch. It's making me like suicidal.
Yeah.
So I had to go to the ER one of the 15 times I've had to go there in the last 9 months. And so they pulled the patch off and gave me some more oxy. But they wouldn't give me any more at the pain clinic. And they said, you're not allowed to take your old prescriptions. And so they wouldn't allow me to take tramadol. They wouldn't allow me to take the patch again if I needed it. It was just that. That's all I was allowed to take.
Did they throw a reason out there? I'm just curious because a lot of docs won't.
No,
And when
there
you
was
and when
no
you
reason.
and when you press them on it, more often than not, it's because why are you questioning me? I'm the doctor. I know what's best for you. I'm managing you, and I'm doing it right. And they never give a reason, you know.
Well, I saw the
So
reason in my records: history of sexual trauma, high risk. Yeah.
and it's horror stories like yours is why for so long I was beating everybody that watched a video of mine about that ACE
Mm-hmm.
because it's so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
It has nothing. You have verified. You have surgeries. You have MRIs. You have scans that show there's physical issues causing pain.
Thank you for reminding me about that part. So, as a health psychologist, I actually was able to get better care than a lot of people. I'm going to acknowledge that, but it was also because I wasn't asking for anything that put them at risk. So, like, I wasn't asking for opioids, every day or every week or any of that. Just like if I had like an acute issue, that's when I would ask for it and I would get it. No big deal. And I got that people didn't believe me when my issues were invisible. When it happened, when they were visible, I was like, oh, they just don't believe me, period. They don't care to believe me. And that broke my heart. I was like, oh, okay, so no amount of proof is going to get me help. They just don't care. And going to the hospital or to the pain clinics and being in level 9 to 10 pain, and my blood pressure is 195 over something, and they look at me like I'm trash. Okay, so as a therapist, one of the things that I have come to know viscerally is that you can handle any amount of trauma if the people who are supposed to protect you do. If they don't, if those people don't protect you, don't help you, that's how you get PTSD. And I have it now.
Yeah. And I don't know how you couldn't. I really don't. And that brings up the whole other battle, though. A lot of doctors, and I wish I had the answer to these situations, these issues. I don't, but they just don't care. They just don't. And I don't know if it's Dr. Burnout. I don't know if they're ego driven, that they can never be wrong. But when I look at you, or I look at Mandy, or I look at everybody that's in this live tonight, or the messages I get, and Amanda get on a daily basis, there's just it's overwhelming the number of doctors that are burnout, don't care, or just psychotics or sadists,
Yeah.
and just go on with their life. And And even if they can't or refuse to write me an opioid, tell me you understand.
Yeah, validate, compassion.
Right? Don't
I've
just
been
leave me
told
on
no numerous times by actual good doctors who, for whatever reason, usually like they don't do that at that particular practice. Like they have a policy, right? If they say, I am so sorry, but our policy is we can't prescribe that. And, you know, if I feel the empathy, I am not traumatized
no.
at
We
all.
we
I'm like,
we
this
look.
sucks, but
That's
thank
it.
you.
And that's it. And we walk out, and not we. I walk out, and I'm pissed, and I'm depressed, and I'm sad, and I'm defeated. But at least they see it and
Yeah.
they acknowledge it, or
Mm-hmm.
give me, dude, I don't know how to treat you. I don't even know where to even start. Okay, thank you for the honesty.
Yes.
What am I mean, what are you afraid? I'm going to say, well, you went to the doctor. What did he say? Evidently, I'm above his pay grade because he didn't know what to do. I mean, people aren't going to think that you suck. People are going to go, dude, what's wrong with you? And I'm going to give them my list of 92 different things, right? And they're going to be like, good luck finding a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But don't just blow it off, because it does that to you. It does that to Mandy. It does it to everybody that's in this. It does it to the thousands of people that I've run across on this app. It's done it to how many people on this planet, you know? And just because ego, I don't know. I really don't, you know?
I don't either, but I think they drank the Kool-Aid. And if anybody in this live right now gets benefit out of 12-step, please continue getting that benefit. But it seeped its way into healthcare. It made medicine a moral failing. It's black and white thinking when health isn't black and white. It is all the shades of gray.
Yeah, I
They
think
got stuck on purity and forgot that medicines exist for a reason.
Yeah, I think that I guess we could go back to the SUD. That's people are have it in their file, and that is a immediate reason for a doctor not to help alleviate pain. And it's an excuse for them to say no.
Yeah.
It's like the stupid freaking ACE. It's an excuse to say no. And it's like more doctors are looking, deep breath, Keith, not more. A lot of doctors are looking for a reason to say no instead of say, okay, how can we help?
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been in those rooms and they made me worse.
Yeah, me too.
If it works for somebody, I am, God bless, I'm so fucking happy for you. I am. And then please don't take my personal experience as law, because I want things to work for people. But at the same time, how can a doctor honestly say, this person has this in their file, I can't find other ways to help them? Or I can at least take a chance, write them the script, make them come back in 10 days. Let's count the pills. Let's P-test them. Bring them back in 5 days. Every Monday for the next 2 months, you're coming in and you're peeing in a cup and we're counting your pills.
And they'll do it too. I would.
Yeah, I would do it. Most of us would.
Yeah.
My new pain doc is 2 hours to get to him. I went back after 10 days because he told me, you're coming back. I'm going to write you a 10-day script. You're coming back and I'm going to P-test you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was like wanting to check my reaction. I was like, heck yeah, Let's do this. And when I called him, I called his office because I was struggling because what he gave me wasn't enough. And over the phone, I went from 3 pills to 4 pills. And that's what the medical assistant, she's like, will that help? And I'm like, yeah. I go, do you guys want me to come in a week and I'll pee? And she's like, why? I'm like, just to show you that I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, we like overprove now.
My file, here's the thing. If I was still struggling with that, like I was when I was younger and dealing with my demons that my grandfather did, when my pain doc gave me 120 Percocets, they'd be gone in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they would call me for a pill count and there'd be nothing to count.
You would just disappear. Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, it's not difficult, you know?
In personal opinion, I don't believe in addiction in a vacuum. Every person I've ever known that had SUD, they were self-medicating something very real, whether it was ADHD, trauma, physical pain, autonomic nervous system dysfunction. Something is going on that they needed those meds. Because the thing is, the exact things I'm prescribed today are what I was taking back then. I just didn't know how to do it because I was a child.
Yeah. And we didn't have the self-regulating desire when we were kids. No. Or I wasn't even a kid. Hell, I was still in my 20s and 30s, you know, because that's how deep the trauma just hit me and stuck with me. I choose not to drink today and not to drug today, besides my prescripts, because of the damage I did to myself when I was self-medicating, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny, when I take my meds now, to show you what the rooms taught me, I tell Valerie every time I take a pill. Every time I take a pill, I tell her.
Yeah. Staying accountable. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it helps some because I'm so forgetful with my whatever AD that I have never been diagnosed with. I space it. Mm-hmm. Did I take 2 or 3? Did I take that one that I normally take at 2:00 today? I can't remember, you know.
I keep a list. I have to keep track of what time I take everything.
I know. I need to get those pill boxes, you know. So, but having that in jackets or files or medical records is, I say jackets, that's typically when you have a convict record. But anyway, don't ask me how I know that. It's devastating.
Yeah.
You know, it's just another reason for doctors to say no. Mm-hmm.
And I was so freaking honest when I got sober and told every freaking doctor that I was an addict and an alcoholic. And I in no way identify that way. Years later, yeah. I drank the Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's bitten me in the ass a couple times, but not usually because I'm honest about it. And, you know, now if it comes up with a doctor, I say, yeah, because back then I didn't know I had this, and this, and I was self-medicating. I do not have an issue with substances anymore.
Yeah. You know, so I've got a couple other more questions I want to try to get answers to, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. With your diagnosis of being on the spectrum, mm-hmm. as well as AD, whatever, I can never get it straight.
Yeah, they changed it.
You know, has that been an issue for you? Do you feel that those diagnoses may have hindered you from getting help from people in the medical field? Yeah.
The communication differences are a big problem. I have a couple of issues with justice sensitivity, fairness, overly honest, and just this insane need to be believed on things I'm telling the truth about, right? When I'm not believed, it breaks my brain. I can't handle it. It is the worst, and it happens all the time now. And so I'm insane all the time now.
Yeah. Okay, because one on a Tuesday, I'd like to have you come back and with Amanda and I want to get into the ADHD. I want to get into the spectrum. I want to get into neurodivergent and all of that. I think you told me that. What'd you say? 1/5 of all rats have something to do with,
Like
right?
substance issues. Okay. I'm going to have to find the study. I don't want to quote out of turn, but yeah.
Ballpark. It.
I would say it's like it's 1 in 5 humans and 1 in 5 rodents too. If they get a taste of alcohol or cocaine or something, they're going to like it a lot.
Right.
And it's
they're gonna
because
keep,
it helps regulate their nervous system.
yeah.
Same as people.
Yeah. And which I thought's kind of interesting, and as in your practice, do you deal with people who are SUD or who have pain or who have illnesses or are invisible?
Almost
And
exclusively.
does that, could that be, I don't hate to put it this way, um, a little bit of silver lining in some of what you're going through because you can relate to them?
Oh yeah. I mean, like my caseload is very self-selecting. Like it turns out I just have people very similar to me on my caseload because we relate.
Right.
And yeah, I think it makes me a better therapist to have been through as much as I've been through because it's not like I'm speaking from a place of inexperience on trauma, on neurodivergence, on health, on any of that stuff. I've been through not necessarily the same things, but close.
Yeah. It's not like you've read it in a book and went to lectures,
Lived it.
to learn to have it. You've got the battle scars that show that you've experienced it. And I hate that you've experienced it. But what a blessing and a great thing it is for your patients.
I hope so.
No, think about it. Put yourself in your patient's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone to doctors. They've gone to psychologists. They've gone to all these people. They weren't believed.
Yeah.
They weren't acknowledged. They weren't validated. And they finally find you are like the unicorn doctor that we all search for, because I hate, please believe me when I tell you, I hate everything that's happened to you because you didn't do anything wrong. You're you.
I'll tell you from a patient standpoint, my therapist was diagnosed, I've been with her for 6 years. She was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about a year after I started seeing her. And she is the reason why I've stayed with her 6 years, even through COVID and everything, because she knows when I don't feel good and I can't make an appointment, she doesn't charge me because she understands. And like, it has been huge for she was literally, before I started this, my only support who understood what I was going through. And
that's huge.
But it was huge for my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I hate it all, but you're the unicorn. You're the one that these people have been searching for.
Yeah. If only I could prescribe instead of saying, I feel you, I get it, I'm so sorry.
But we just talked about that though, didn't we?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
About they can't write me the script, but at least they see me.
Yeah.
Right?
And seeing other humans.
And that's, as much as it physically still hurt or emotionally or mentally still hurt, it's such a huge piece to the whole getting better process. When people ask me, when my friends ask me, why do you do these lives on TikTok? It's like, I want people to know they're seen, they're heard, and they're loved. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And they're like, well, that's it? I go, yeah. I go, because as being invisible, we're not seen, we're not heard or listened to. and we don't feel the love. Sometimes that love, I'm not looking for my doctor to love me, but family members or friends.
Yeah.
Over a period of time, they'll like, well, I'm not going to don't invite Keith because he can't walk at Six Flags all day long, right? Or he can't go out in the boat because his back can't handle it.
Yeah.
He's not going to show up anyway. Where on these lives, there's always good information, but at the same time, everybody is seen and heard and loved in these, and that's what you're providing them.
And that's what you're providing them. I mean, like, I'm so grateful for TikTok in general because we really used to be invisible, but now, like, we're here, we're on the screen, and that's how everybody's figuring out what's going on with them.
Yeah.
That's how I found out I was ADHD, autistic, Ehlers-Danlos, POTS. It was TikTok. Like, it's because I can see people, even if they're bedbound, sharing their experience. And if they just so happen to be diagnosed, well, now I know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got diagnosed. I knew what to look for. I knew what to ask. And even me as a psychologist, no idea I was autistic and ADHD. Not a clue.
Yeah. Because nobody bothered to ask the questions.
Mm-mm. And once I found out I was autistic, that's how I figured out POTS and Ehlers-Danlos, because I know those three come together all the time.
Yeah. And again, it just goes back to what are the docs doing instead? Are they overworked? Are they really worried about the DEA? Are they not paid enough?
Did they drink the Kool-Aid?
Mm-hmm. The pain doc
micromanaged by a larger entity, basically. Whether that be the DEA or or the hospitals or whatever. I know there's hospitals here in Texas that have gone non-opioid because
what?
And that just blows my freaking mind. And a large one in Texas. Yeah.
Opioid free. And there's the same thing in Ohio. Remember Tam, she was one of the first people that did a Thursday night. After open heart surgery, they sent her home to recover with Tylenol. They cut the ribs to get to the heart, and they sent her home with Tylenol to manage her pain.
I would sue the shit out of them.
There's horror stories. Somebody posted a TikTok of a guy in London, I think. Well, anyway, doctors are giving Haldol in the ER now to patients that come in with pain.
And I get severe dystonia from Haldol. I'll remember that the rest of my life, and I was 16 when that happened.
I've added Haldol to my.
Me too.
I don't have anything on my allergy list. I didn't up to 2 weeks ago, but right now Haldol is on my allergy list.
Good.
And because all that does is it sedates you. You're still hurting, but they don't have to deal with you.
And if you get the dystonia, you're not sedated. You're freaking out. You just can't move.
So it's a lot of it. I'm not going to get political, but a lot of it they're just looking for ways not to give out the pain, not to treat the pain.
Yeah.
Or doctors like the Israel Pena, Granbury, Texas. Yep, I'm going to mention him again, Mandy, who I just fired because he's the shittiest pain doctor on the planet. My opinion. I was his patient. He never concerned himself with the cause of the pain, but the solution was a nerve stimulator. That's all it was. That was the last time I was in the ER with this brand new pain. I was in the ER over the weekend. I already had a scheduled appointment on Monday, so I went to him. I told him about it. All he said to me was, Mr. Johnson, had you had that nerve stimulator put in months ago, like I told you to do, you wouldn't be feeling this pain. In the discussion as he walks out. I had to scream to get his attention they did a CAT scan in the hospital. I'm like, get me an MRI. I want an MRI. Well, why would you want that? I've told you what would fix it. That's not fixing it. That's covering up what's going on.
Band-Aid. It is literally a Band-Aid.
And Band-Aids are nice, but it's better to fix it if you can.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And God forbid, I talk to too many people on this app where it wasn't like a nerve thing. It was like a cancer thing that just showed up out of the blue. And so the nerve stimulator is going to.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to cure cancer. Oh,
He got mad at me because one day he was pressing me. He was yelling at me, but I had to have it done. So I just looked at him and I go, "So you're telling me if I accidentally shot myself in the thigh at the range, I'd be okay because I wouldn't feel it?" And he just looked at me. How did he say? He's like, "Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Johnson." I'm like, "Hey, you telling me it's going to kill pain
you're
from the
being
waist
ridiculous.
down?" You know, that's just who I am.
I'm
though.
really excited on that vein, real quick, is so, I finally got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which I knew, but, now they know and they believe it. And I have a whole team. And I was like, I've got to get in front of this hypermobility doctor, and he's going to know what these flares are where I can't sit up. Literally looked at me for 1 second and he was like, scapula dyskinesia. That's what it is. And we're going to start you on PT this week. So it's not a Band-Aid anymore. They're going to fix it.
And that's
amazing. It's like a lottery. Like you just one day win the doctor that knows what's. I'm like, can I please find a Dr. House? Like that would be.
Yes, I've been saying that for years.
But that's the big finish in all this. Is you found your unicorn.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've got a unicorn pain doctor. I've got a primary care physician who specializes in my diagnosis. I've got a hypermobility orthopedic doctor, and then I've got the geneticist. Yeah, I'm set.
That's so great.
Keep fighting. They're out there.
Yes, keep fighting. That is.
It is.
It's so important. Don't settle on less than what you deserve.
Yeah.
Like a nerve thing. It was like a cancer thing that just showed up out of the blue. And so the nerve stimulator is going
to. Yeah, I don't think it's going to cure cancer. Oh.
He got mad at me because one day he was pressing me. He was yelling at me, but I had to have it done. So I just looked at him and I go, "So you're telling me if I accidentally shot myself in the thigh at the range, I'd be okay because I wouldn't feel it?" And he just looked at me. How did he say? He's like, "Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Johnson." I'm like, "Hey, you telling me it's going to kill pain from the waist ridiculous. Down?" You know, that's just who I am.
I'm really excited on that vein, real quick, is so, I finally got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which I knew, but, now they know and they believe it. And I have a whole team. And I was like, I've got to get in front of this hypermobility doctor, and he's going to know what these flares are where I can't sit up. Literally looked at me for 1 second and he was like, scapula dyskinesia. That's what it is. And we're going to start you on PT this week. So it's not a Band-Aid anymore. They're going to fix it.
And that's
amazing. It's like a lottery. Like you just one day win the doctor that knows what's. I'm like, can I please find a Dr. House? Like that would be.
Yes, I've been saying that for years.
But that's the big finish in all this. Is you found your unicorn.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a unicorn pain doctor. I've got a primary care physician who specializes in my diagnosis. I've got a hypermobility orthopedic doctor, and then I've got the geneticist. Yeah, I'm set.
That's so great.
Keep fighting. They're out there.
Yes, keep fighting. That is.
It is.
It's so important. Don't settle on less than what you deserve.
Yeah.
You know? And I wanted to make sure before we get out of here is that we let people know that you found them. And I know it's scary searching for a pain doc, because I know unfortunately a lot of people are stuck and where they can't find better, and that hurts me. But for a lot of us, we can find ways to find better, and even if they're not a unicorn, even if they're just good, right? Just good. It's such a change, and I wanted to bring it up that you found your unicorns, because I don't want people to give up hope.
Yeah.
I came damn near close to giving up hope when I was trying to fire Israel Pena, the shittiest doctor for pain management in the planet, my opinion. Because I just couldn't let him win, though. I could not let him win, and just keep fighting.
Yeah.
Just gotta find somebody good. It's like I say, I don't want to ever try to be 100% any day. I just want to be a little bit better. At least set that as the goal. They don't have to be a unicorn, or they don't have to be good. They just have to be a little bit better.
I just had a funny mental picture.
Uh-oh.
What if you, like, let's say you're doing like 10 times better, and then you walk in there and you pull a pretty woman, like you work on commission, right? Big mistake, huge.
I would love to do that. Oh, I would love to do that to my old doctor. Oh my god.
That would be the ADHD. Sorry about that.
I wanted to do a lot of things when I did fire him. I wanted to go like to HEB or Kroger, the grocery store, and get like a decent little flower arrangement, take it into his office and on a Monday and give it to the office staff, to the receptionist, and say, hey, listen, I found a new pain doc, but I wanted to thank you for putting up with me for the past 8 months. So when Pena, the worst doctor on the planet, would come out and walk through the office, he'd have to see those flowers and he'd ask. And they'd be like, well, Keith Johnson came in. He's no longer going to be coming, but he wanted to tell me thank you for being nice to him. And so for the next week, until she throw those flowers away, he'd walk in the office and he'd see those. He would have to think of me. Just the ultimate little,
I just sent a box of dick glitter. Right in the office. Dick glitter everywhere.
Dick glitter everywhere.
And that's just hard to clean up. You're gonna have little dicks everywhere.
But see, I can't. Some of the ladies in the front were bad. The nurse she was not nice to me, but the techs were fairly decent to me, and the receptionist, she had to put up with me when I was pissed off on numerous occasions, and I always apologized when I was done going off, saying, "Listen, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation." And she was always, I would walk in like to get a copy of my records or something, and I could see the color just drop out of her face because here I come, right? And I'd always have to walk. I'm not mad. Don't worry, it's okay. This is going to be an easy one for you, I promise. Because he was messing with my pain so bad that I took it personal, because it was personal.
You should. It is personal.
It is personal. It is your life that they are fucking with. Like,
Yeah.
It is personal. You should be angry.
Yeah. I definitely am. And y'all, when you find that doctor that's a little bit better, even if the pain doesn't get better or the illness doesn't get better, here's something that I don't think we talk about enough. Those of us that have found somebody better, the mental relief that you'll get is immense.
Yeah.
I've shared when I first got with this new doc and left, I sat in the car and cried that day because I felt the release of all of this nastiness. So that's another reason to keep going out and keep looking.
And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be in pain anymore, because you are. You saw that video of me 3 days ago. I already found my unicorn and I was still like that. Yeah. So, but just having the hope and feeling safe with somebody who cares, I knew I was going to come out of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like in a place where I wanted to give up at that point, because I knew I was going to be okay. I knew it was going to pass.
Yeah.
Carmen, I get it. I just want a pain doctor who cares, and that's it. And some of us have to go to extremes to find that, but even if they're a little bit better, the release is so worth it, because it really, really is. Tomorrow I'm having that nerve test done, and it's going to suck and it's going to hurt, and I'm not looking forward to it. but I don't have the anxiety of dread, upset stomach, because how I internalize things, that's what happens. Because I have to go see Dr. Israel Pena, the shittiest pain doctor in the state of Texas, in Granbury, Texas.
I love that you use the full name every time.
You know, why not?
Yeah.
You know, people need to be, you know, I need to get a hold of Mrs. Had so I can get my review done. Because they're like, again, I haven't posted it yet because it needs to be business-like instead of emotional.
Good luck. You need a lot of editors.
Yeah, and that's why,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why, because it needs to be business, and needs to be written to people who are chronic pain patients, who know what you know when I say that you walk in the first day, congratulations, you have opioid-induced hyperglycemia or whatever it is. Opioids will now cause you pain as soon as you walk into his exam rooms, right? Because that's his diagnosis, immediate. And next step.
That's a huge red flag, by the way.
Yeah.
For any of you guys that don't know that, any doctor that walks in and gives you a diagnosis right away, no, huge red flag.
Yeah.
Make them go over your charts with you. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, for those that don't know, basically what opioid-induced H, because I can't pronounce the last word, it basically says that opioids actually cause pain in your body. So if you take opioids, the pain you feel isn't nerve-related, isn't bone-related, isn't a physical pain. It's being generated by the opioids. And according to Dr. Israel Pena, who I have recorded him saying this, once you're removed off the opioids, your body will produce enough opioids to take care of any pain that your body could ever generate. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
So what my question was, then why would I need a nerve stimulator?
Love it. Yes.
Well, she couldn't give me an answer to. So, but
I'm so sorry you dealt with that.
Good job asking questions, though.
Be careful asking questions, though, y'all, because they'll fire you. I'm surprised he didn't fire me a dozen times over, because I asked questions like that. When he's telling me this device will solve all your problems. Awesome, I'll do it. And he gets all excited. Put it in writing. Put what in writing? Put it in writing. You can just use a scrap piece of paper. This device will remove all the pain below your waist forever. 100% guaranteed.
That's such bullshit.
And he goes, I can't do that. I'm like, well, why not? You just told me that. Well, it will solve your problems. Well, then put it in writing. I can't do that. Well, why not? And we went around for like 5 minutes. Well, why not? Well, because I can't do that. Well, you just told me. Yeah, but I can't put it.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not willing to guarantee me on paper, then I don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can say no. And you got to be careful because you don't want to get fired, right? But it's your body. It should be your choice.
I got fired too.
I've gotten fired twice.
Right after I had my hysterectomy.
Yeah, me too.
Or right before I had my hysterectomy, they said, you'll be able to fill it, get your post-op meds after your hysterectomy and then reach out to us. And by the time I was finished with those meds, I had been reaching out to them several times. And I finally get a message back that says, oh, no, it was discussed with you that traditional opioids have been discontinued and your only option is to, what? Sorry, did I miss something?
No.
No,
okay.
I was just, no, go ahead. I was commenting on a comment.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like pointing at something. I was like, am I supposed to look?
No, you're fine.
Right down behind you.
Wait, what was I saying? Sorry.
About how after your hysterectomy that they cut you off the meds?
Oh, yeah. So they said it was discussed with you that traditional opioids are being discontinued. It was not. No such conversation happened. And she said your only option now is to join our Suboxone clinic And I said, you mean the medication that I told you made me suicidal? And she said, yeah. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, they wanted me.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that.
Your unicorns. Obviously, they don't have an issue, even though I have a feeling you've explained to them if your jacket says SUD in it, they get you.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Unicorns, like, you could do cocaine and I wouldn't take you off your meds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's like a
okay, I mean, I'm not going to do that, but thank you.
Well, that's what this new doctor I have did too, and that's why I want people to keep trying and keep hoping, because they're unicorns, but they exist. I signed the pain contract.
Yeah.
And I was asking all these things like, so what happens when I go to the ER? Excuse me, but I was going to sign the damn contract anyway because I trust the guy, right? So I figured I got nothing to lose. I go, what happens if I go to the ER? He's like, well, go to the ER. If you need to go, go. I'm like, well, with my current pain doctor, they won't send me home with a script. And he said, honestly, I'd prefer they didn't. He goes, but do this for me. If they do, and you decide to fill it, you call me the first business day after, or have somebody call me.
Yeah.
So I'll know that I have you on X and they put you on Y. So when you come in and I test you, because I'm going to test you every time you come in, and you show for what they gave you, I will fire you for that. If you don't call and tell me.
If you don't call, yeah.
But if you call and tell me, I'm going to be like, okay. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask him for like 30 days. That's like, if I'm in the ER on Wednesday, I'm going to ask for drugs until Tuesday, because I got to figure out when I can get to you and you can get me in.
Right.
He's like, that's perfectly reasonable.
Reasonable. Go figure.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't think they existed anymore.
And I asked about lettuce, right? Smoking lettuce. And he's like, in fact, he got tired of me asking questions. He goes, listen, when I pee test you, what I'm testing to see is what narcotics are in your system. I'm prescribing Percocet. That better be the only narcotic that's in your system. If there's other things in your system, you have a pretty good chance of getting fired. And I'm like, who the hell are you? You don't exist. Not that I'm going to go out and start doing all the crazy stuff, but that's what he's concerned about. He doesn't want me doctor shopping or buying off the streets or whatever. You know? So please, you guys just keep doing your best to find these little bit better doctors. I've been there with Pena. I was there. I stayed there for months when I was searching for a new doc, but I wasn't going to settle for anything equal to what I had. But I would go back to Penny because I knew the hell, and I knew his system, and I played his game. But damn it, I kept searching and searching and searching. You know, so it's possible. They're out there. You know. All right, who has the cat? I'm hearing a cat.
That would be me.
Oh, okay.
No, Suri, I think you're right. There is a whole aspect to it. It's not just having the unicorn doctor. It's having a pharmacy, that is willing to fill your scripts. There's a lot that goes into being a chronic pain patient or a chronically ill patient. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just finding the doctor, but if you can find the doctor, that's like the big step, I think the biggest part. And then the pharmacy is second, but.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened with the pharmacy I dealt with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I always try to tell people to try to go through smaller mom and pop pharmacies. Also ask them what their policies are on opioid medications before you switch your scripts over to them. But a lot of them are not being as affected as like the big name brand conglomerate pharmacies that are starting to now not do that anymore, which is insane. But
And also another problem that I've run into for me is it's not always the pharmacy. It's your insurance company.
Oh, yeah.
or the pharmacist will play games and blame it on the insurance company. Like my insurance company, like for me, for Percocet, for the insurance company to cover it, it has to be 2.5, 325. So 2.5 Percocets 3 times a day for 3 days. That's all they'll cover. They won't cover 5 Percocet, 5.5, 7.5. They won't. Not at all. They won't cover hydrocodone either. So I'm paying cash price for the Percocet. But like what happened to you, Amanda, when they wouldn't even let you pay cash for...
Nope. And she canceled my entire prescription for the new medication that was going to help me sit up again. And hey, guess what? I got it today. And I was able to sit up today.
There you go. You know?
I got a call that my insurance covered mine finally.
Yay!
So
it's
big wins today, right?
And it's the team approach. You got to have decent parts on all the way around, right? And this may make people mad. Pain meds are not the full complete answer. You got to have the pain meds. You have to have other treatments. You have to, or be willing to try other treatments. You have to be willing to be open. You have to have the conversations with your doc. You have to have the pharmacy. You got to be willing to yell at your therapist. Thank you. You have to be willing to yell at your insurance company. You know, it's like a full-time gig, you know, which is not right. It's just part of who we are and what we do, you know.
Oh, there's my cat. She's making a
That's
camera.
Cool. No, the reason I asked about the cat was I was waiting for my dogs to go crazy. You know, that's it. I don't care.
I got a dog right here too.
Mine would try to eat. It would eat the cat, and it would destroy the house when they try to catch the cat. So.
Don't rub your face on the phone. You're ruining it.
I guess Amanda got mad and she dropped off. So, or Mandy, I can't call her Amanda now. Oh wait, she's back.
I don't mind if you number us. It's fine. I'm used to it.
No, that's rude. So,
we're used to it. There's so many Amandas our age.
No. So we haven't really done questions. We've had a few questions. Does anybody have any questions for Amanda or Mandy or Amanda 1, Amanda 2, or me? There's so much more to Amanda's story that we didn't even get into. There really is. And again, when I read your synopsis, when I got done, I was like, how is she still able?
Yeah.
And it's because it's who you are. And you're incredible.
No other choice.
Well, and I can officially say, besides my doctor now, I know another unicorn. Because I swear to you, I promise to you, to your patients, even though you can't write a script, you're that unicorn.
Thank you.
Wear that with pride.
I don't think that's never occurred to me. So that is a hell of a compliment. Thank you.
And I hate that you've had the battle scars to earn the unicorn. But for God, you're using it for something so good.
I hope so.
And you hope so.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about when I had the idea to do the CEU, the medical gaslighting and trauma CEU. And then I was like, you can't do it right now. I'm too triggered. I'm going through trauma as we speak. So how am I supposed to, help other people with trauma and change the entire system miraculously? Like, it was just too much. Yeah. I hope I can do it one day. I really do, because I think that really needs to happen.
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because
like you were saying, doctors, being kind of micromanaged and stuff, which I agree, but it takes no time at all to be compassionate. It's just like an extra word here, or change this word here, or make this face here. Just look them in the eye. Like, it's really simple stuff that they feel like, I don't have time for it. Yes, you do.
Yeah. And then when you add in the spectrum and the neurodivergent and all the other stuff, if they don't have time to deal with somebody who doesn't have all that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. That came out terrible.
You're good. Yeah. It's just, it's like speaking two different languages. So yeah, it's complicated.
It is. And, you know, I think I told you a friend of mine I met, and they live on Long Island, is neurodivergent. And when, like, I was up there recently helping them redo this Airbnb, and all I could do was really paint. So, but when we were given tasks, everybody, this person is just a really strong person. We had to be specific in different details and giving it, and what projects had to be done. And we did that because it was harder for her to understand the whole process. Mm-hmm. So we had to be more specific. And that's just one example. So I couldn't imagine how people who are neurodivergent or on a spectrum in different ways would need to have things explained different, or
I need to know why all the time. I have to know why certain things are happening. Like, can you explain how you came to this decision and why are we doing it this way? And I think it comes across as I'm challenging them versus I'm actually curious, and it helps me to calm down to know the why of things.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely. I had that conversation with my doctor the other day as to why and I told him, I said up front, I said, I'm not questioning your judgment. I'm not, you know, trying to make you feel any certain way. I'm just curious why you feel that way about this medication. Like, I really legitimately want to know why.
Well, and because if you're asking those questions because you need to know, and that's how your brain processes and that's how you function, they need to understand that's not you immediately questioning their authority, you know, or their intelligence or
sometimes
any other crap. Well, it is, but you know, but at the same time, that's how you operate, right?
Yeah.
You know, but when I ask that, it's because I am being a smart ass. Like, so if I shoot myself in the thigh in an accident, I'm okay because I won't.
Yeah, that was good. I love that.
You know, so I mean, but it's just these guys that just get the blinders on and they don't bother to look outside. Oh my gosh, too cute.
Oh.
Oh, God.
I had to get that. Sorry, that's their little ritual at night.
TikTok. We're not betting cat versus dog tonight. There's no money.
No, that was two dogs.
Two dogs. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so it's
I think it's a validation thing for me too. Like, I want to know that you don't think this of me, you know, because I go home thinking it's a moral failing when I don't get what I need. And that's not, you know, but you feel that way sometimes. Like, they're judging your character and who you are and what decisions you can make about your own care. Like, it's hard.
Yeah. It is hard.
Yeah.
So
Kendra said her money's on the tan one.
So actually the black one is Alpha. And she's the girl, and she likes the black one looked like it was like.
So any other questions, y'all? Comments, thoughts, suggestions? We have to be nice to Amanda, so she'll come back on a Tuesday so we can do the whole
there's so many subjects I want to have you on for,
you know,
especially the like buprenorphine and Suboxone.
Yeah.
I was crying because I know how it feels to lose your mind because of a medication. Yeah. And when they don't believe you because it is that medication that's causing it, like, and there's no words to express how that feels. No. Because you're so out of control and you feel like you don't even know who you are anymore, you know? It's hard.
Yeah. So awesome.
Not to bring that back up, just
no, absolutely. That was a big one. That messed me up, that they were like, your only option is this thing that makes you want to die.
Yeah. And I was on it for 6 years.
Oh my God.
My mind is so much better now that I'm off of it. I've managed to get off a lot of my psych meds. I think in part of because I got off of that med.
Right. So you were taking that was making you have to take more psych meds. Like, oh.
And they just kept throwing them at me. You know, I was on like 6 different psych meds at once. And my new primary care doctor, I am thankful that I have a group of unicorns right now. And I say right now because I know that can change at any given moment. I know that. Yeah. But my primary care doctor was like, I think you might have serotonin syndrome. And I was like, well, I'm on all of these and I feel like I'm going insane. I'm like, nothing is helping this feeling. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, we got to get you off of some of this stuff. It's not supposed to be taken together. It's not good for you. You know, like even the last one I'm on is Abilify. And my pain management doctor just told me the other day, that's only supposed to be used for like short-term use. I've been on it for a couple years now. Is that not?
No, that's not true.
He said it could potentially be helping with my pain.
If you like it, stay on it. But if you don't, sure.
I don't know if I do or not anymore. So
I liked it a lot, but then it started making me manic. I was like, damn it.
Yeah. So I'm considering tapering slowly because he did tell me like taper slowly. I didn't do that with a lot of my meds, and that was
God, be careful with that.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. So always go slowly. Always go to your doctor before you quit anything. There's my
disclaimer.
There's my disclaimer. Yeah, don't do what I did.
Yeah, because I did that one. Wasn't psych. It was just Lyrica. But man, that was the roughest month I've gone through, and
yeah, that's what I mean by when they're treating pain with Lyrica and Cymbalta and Savella. Those are all SNRI, SSRI drugs.
Yeah, I can't do SNRI
with your brain chemistry, and I have met very few people that have actually gotten much relief from that.
Yeah, I haven't met anybody.
So it's like, is there a correlation? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But
I have another topic we might want to discuss one time.
Which is?
Psychedelic therapy.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. We got to go to X for that one, though.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah, that might get TikTok.
One might get shut down.
I'm a fan of that, and I'm a fan of that. As much as I give people trouble for drinking mushroom tea, I'm a friend of microdose. Yeah. I want it. That's a whole other conversation, though. And then, like I said, I don't know what TikTok would do to me if we did that conversation live.
Right.
Fine.
I think that's what we should go to X for, though.
That would have to be on X, or I don't even know if YouTube would allow that one.
Really?
Yeah.
They're pretty
evidence-backed. I don't understand why we can't discuss science.
But
even talking about like the tea that I drank is controversial, and so we have to use certain terms for that tea leaf.
Gotcha.
I'm not super cautious about it because I've read the rules, and the rules say as long as I'm not consuming it on camera, that it should be fine.
The
other day I got flagged for something, and I don't even know what I did.
But then again, Amanda and I both are kind of wanting to move everything eventually over, parts of it, not everything, parts of it over to X, just so we have more freedom, just so I can drink my ginger ale and not have to worry about making somebody mad or the problem with TikTok. Watch, I'm sure they're monitoring now because I just said their name. Is it's AI making the decisions and AI that reviews it, and so. And 90% of the time, every time I get in trouble, I never get it's just a community violation. And
I've never even used eggs.
So,
I
It's a
like
lot
it.
better. I think it's cleaned up.
But
It's a lot more
But
freedom.
it has these kind of formats too.
Yeah.
we can pay for it and be able to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I think as long as one person is quote a member, isn't it? Then everybody can watch the lives. So, so that's just something in the future.
That part out too.
I'll use my therapy software and jump on like a group therapy video chat.
I'm up for it. You know, I still have access to my former nonprofit, Google. Google is always good to nonprofits, and I got Google Suite for free because we're in a nonprofit, and I could have as many people on a Google version of Zoom call as I want, and we could talk for a week, and it'd be free. But that's a whole nother thing, is getting people to switch to a different app to make a conversation happen.
That's hard.
You know,
I wanted to do a live about that someday too, because somebody had mentioned taking shots and all that on lives, and drinking alcohol. You're not technically supposed to, but I don't know why it's, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just
I
a rule
feel
you got to
like
play
there's
by.
stigmas against certain things that play into that, but
Yeah, so. Well, cool. Well, I'm due for meds.
me too.
I'm due for peeing.
Well,
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you.
You're welcome. I just ended on that note. Oh no.
Yeah, no, we're gonna let you. We'll give you.
Going on the YouTube.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be the blurb I post.
Along with
about tonight's live.
My comment the other night.
Let's do Amanda say goodnight, then Mandy say goodnight, and then I'll say goodnight. How's that? Does that work?
Good night, guys. Thank you so much for having me and letting me tell my story. And I will info dump on you more on Tuesday.
Awesome.
Sounds good. I just wanted to tell you guys good night, and thanks for joining us and for all the comments and questions. We love y'all, and we're so glad that you're part of our community and we're part of your community, and so glad that we're being seen and heard finally.
Finally. And man, I got a long list of thank yous. First to Amanda for opening up. This is not easy to get out and to share in front of 50 some odd people at one time and to put your story, put yourself out there like that. But it's important for all of us to know that we're not alone in the feelings I have, and you validate so many other people who have these feelings that we feel like we're the only ones that have gone through this. I may not have had 3 collapsed lungs, which I'm never going to forget, but I've had doctors lie to me and ignore me and treat me as I'm invisible. And seeing you continue to go forward, to have the hope to keep finding those doctors, that makes you a superhero. And you are a unicorn doctor in your own right. The patients you see know they're being seen and understood. And then if I could take away all the trauma that happened to you and all this away from you, I would, but I can't. But I see the silver lining in what you're doing for these other people that you have as your patients. And you are providing something to them that is invaluable. Don't ever discount it. Don't ever discount that. I searched for somebody that would validate me for such a long time. And if I could have found one person, I'd have felt so much better, and I never did. So you're providing that for those people, and thank you for being there for them. That's an incredible blessing to be able to do that for somebody. So thank you, and thank you for opening up tonight. And, Amanda, number 2 for now. Thank you. Everybody that's joined us tonight, we covered some painful territories, some trauma territories, SUD territories, spectrum, divergent, all those territories we covered tonight. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people on TikTok talking about the invisible community. And the difference is with us, that we're real. the difference with us is we had these conversations, and I think we're all better because we had these conversations. And y'all mean the world to me. You saved me. I've told you guys this 100 times. This community saved me when I was in some really dark spots, and you pulled me out. So Tuesdays and Thursday nights are really, really important to me, and to have people join us is just the best thing in the world. So if you have any questions, if you want to come on a Thursday night, let me know. I have the next few Thursdays I think are covered. VJ Gray, I think, will be here next Thursday. If you know VJ or you follow any of her videos, if you're not following her, you need to. She has this ability to explain certain things that's just off the hook. But all of us have our unique stories, and they're all beautiful. And thank you for being here tonight, y'all, and for sharing them all. So if you need me, send me a message, and I'll try to get back to you tonight or tomorrow. Or Amanda too, send her a message. And if you're not following Amanda 1, you need to, because she dumps a lot of great knowledge in her videos too. So
and a lot of cussing and yelling.
That's fine. And she occasionally occasionally gives us an opportunity to put money on the dogs too. Which one's going to win? So
now we're really going to get shut down.
That's it. So
where's my cat?
All right, so Amanda, go pee. And you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.
Kat, yes. We are currently talking about switching over to X. Well, not like completely, but I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're talking about it. So we'll definitely let you guys know, of course, whatever happens. But
maybe in the beginning we'll do Tuesdays and Thursdays here, and then we'll find a way to do a Wednesday or something on X, just to kind of see how it goes. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll see.
I want to be on X just because of the freedom. So Country Girl X is formerly known as Twitter. So
sorry, X is like Twitter or yeah.
So all right, kids. I'm out. Thank you again for tonight. We love you guys. Please be safe. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.